Could Julius Randle win the MVP award this season? Let's get into this. After signing a 3-year deal with the New York Knicks last season, he was a huge disappointment last season, and many Knicks fans and fans around the NBA were calling for the Knicks to trade him after one poor season. Julius Randle had one of two ways he can go with his career after a pretty rough first season with the Knicks. First, which a lot of people would have went this route, he could have just called the Knicks and asked for a trade and eventually try to get out of the New York situation and try to play for another team. Or he can be a guy who is a little bit more professional and he could just keep working harder and harder and try to improve his game and look in the mirror and realize that he needed to improve his game. Luckily for the Knicks and the fans, and for himself too, he really took a look in the mirror, and he talked about this in his op-ed that he wrote to the NBA, where he was saying that he was at a real crossroads in his career and he realized that he really needed to improve his game. And over that summer, after that rough season with the Knicks, his first season, he really went to work and worked every single day, where he said he worked out 3 times a day. This made Julius Randle a much better player, and this season we're really seeing what all that hard work did and really paid off for him. Julius Randle also recently talked about the fact that he learned a lot of his work ethic from Kobe Bryant, who was known for being an extremely hard worker and was one of the biggest reasons why he was as good as he was in his career. Looking at this season, Julius Randle, he's a completely different player than he's ever been before in his career. One of the biggest critiques about his game before was the fact that he was turning the ball over a lot and spinning into double teams. Contrasting that to this season, he's become a great passer where he wasn't nearly as good previously, and now he's finding open guys and not being as selfish on the offensive end. When you watch Julius Randle this season, there's plenty of times where he's on the high post and he's just looking for guys to cut or to get open from the 3-point line. Especially him with Reggie Bullock, they have a really great rapport together and they always find each other for open threes, especially Julius Randle finding Reggie Bullock for open corner threes. If you watch my videos, you know that I always talk about the importance of a player being able to pass the ball and play make really effectively, especially when you're trying to become a superstar. And the really crazy thing about Julius Randle isn't like he was a good passer before and now he's a really good passer. Last season he was a pretty bad passer, and now looking this season he's an extremely good passer. So it's pretty crazy to see the growth that he had in just one season. And now when you look at how the Knicks were playing last season compared to how they're playing this season, and what's the really big driver to the huge change that they had from year to year, it's obviously Julius Randle and his passing ability. Before, Julius Randle was spinning into double teams and the paint was clogged, everything was clogged up, there's no spacing. But now, contrasting that to this season, Julius Randle's ability to pass the ball really opened up everything, and in my opinion is one of the biggest reasons why the Knicks are so good this year. And the Knicks didn't necessarily get significantly better players this year compared to last year. Yeah, they definitely got a few better players here and there that are pretty good role players, but in terms of the star players, they didn't really get any, and they're not a significantly different team than they were last year. So that just shows you the importance of your star player being able to pass the ball and have a great playmaking ability. Another part of Julius Randle's game that significantly improved from last season is his ability to shoot the ball from the 3-point range especially. Last season he was a pretty bad shooter actually from 3-point range, where he was just chucking up most of his shots from 3. But this season he's been great. He's been shooting 40% from deep, which is an extremely high number, especially for a guy who's been so poor from deep last season and a decent portion of his career as well. It's such a great sign to see that. And one thing I will say about Julius Randle last season is he was a pretty good mid-range shooter, but this season he definitely improved his mid-range shooting. But compared to his insane upgrade in his passing ability and playmaking, as well as ability to shoot from the 3-point range, this is more of a drop in the bucket in terms of improvement. Another part of Julius Randle's game that really improved, really his whole game improved significantly from last year, but another point just to point out is Julius Randle's defense. And I think this is mainly due to the fact that the Knicks have a coach, Tom Thibodeau, and he's known for being really hard on guys and making sure they play hard defense. When you look at the best defenders around the league, yeah, they could have physical gifts like long arms that would help them get steals, or super athletic that would make them be able to keep up with their defender. But when you look at a guy who's really good on defense, really the biggest factor that would determine that is if he works hard on defense and really puts in an effort. Last season, Julius Randle, you can't necessarily say he put that much of an effort into defense, but when you you look at this season, there's no denying the fact that Julius Randle works really hard every night, especially on the defensive end, to really get a stop every possession, and that I give him a lot of credit for. You just got to give a lot of credit to Julius Randle, just the huge transformation he went to this season from last season. Last season, a lot of people were calling for the Knicks to trade him. He could have easily just said, alright, get me out of New York. A lot of players don't even want to play in New York because they don't have a great situation. Now that's changed, but before the season, they didn't have a great situation. But instead of that, he really took a look in the mirror and realized that he wasn't as good of a player as he really needed to be that number one guy. And he really worked hard this offseason, and now look, it's paying off. When you look at all the top players in the NBA, Giannis, LeBron, Harden, Kawhi, KD, all these guys are obviously extremely talented, but everybody in the NBA is extremely talented. What really separates the greats from the good players is guys who are really willing to put in that hard work and work every single day and every single night tirelessly to work on their game and get better. Now, obviously, Julius Randle is playing extremely well, and the Knicks, for the first time since 2013, are actually a really good team, and lately have been absolutely on fire. They've been on a 7-game winning streak. The real question is, even as good as Julius Randle has been playing, could he legitimately be an MVP candidate or even win the MVP this season? I personally don't think Julius Randle would win the MVP, and I'm very confident that he wouldn't win the MVP, just due to the fact that there's players who are obviously better than Julius Randle, and honestly, I would probably see a guy like Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic that would probably win the MVP this season, just due to the fact that they're more brand names and they've been playing great the whole year as well, on a little bit of a higher level than Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle could potentially get there eventually, but at this point, they're definitely better than him. But I will say, I don't know if this would happen, but I do think based on how good the Knicks have been playing this season and how much of a transformation Julius Randle has, I do think he should be in the potential top 4, top 5 in MVP voting this season, maybe even top 3, because he has been playing great this season. And when you look at the Knicks, I mean, they're playing really, really well this season. And when was the last time we were able to say that? And when you look at previous MVP votings, you see one season where Joakim Noah was third in MVP voting when he was on the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, he had a great season that year, but he had no business being anywhere near the MVP. So if Joakim Noah was able to be top 3 in MVP voting one season, Julius Randle should definitely be at least top 3, or at least top 5, I should say, in MVP voting. But 100%, if this doesn't happen, obviously everything's rigged. 100% Julius Randle deserves to be the most improved player, and I think it's basically a lock. Julius Randle has been so fun to watch this season as a Knicks fan. I will say, just keep in mind, I am a very big Knicks fan, so take this video with a grain of salt, but it's been great to see Julius Randle improve so significantly from last season, and he should 100% win the most improved player, and I think he should be at least top 5 in the MVP voting. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Julius Randle should be the MVP this season, or at least in the top 5 in MVP discussion? Or do you think Julius Randle is a little too overrated for that, and he doesn't deserve to be in the MVP conversation whatsoever? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.